Hey everyone, my name is Miriam. Welcome back to my urban homestead. I'm so excited to be back in the garden. Today I'm going to walk you through the process of setting up a raised bed. So if you're a new gardener, this is the perfect video for you. You may look around and say, well, Miriam, where are you setting up a raised bed? Because I don't see any room for a raised bed. I am expanding a raised bed. So this raised bed here, which is my hot pepper bed, I've got salsa peppers in here. I have cayenne, I've got Scotch bonnet. I'm making this bed bigger. So I've got 4 beds in this garden that I'm enlarging. And so it's the same thing whether you're enlarging or if you're starting from fresh. So let's go through all the steps. Now the first thing I have to think about is the area I'm going to expand the bed into, or where I'm going to set up the bed. I've got lots of wood chips here and I've got to clear them out. So that is step 1. Prepare the area where you are going to set your bed down. For some of you, that might be making sure that the area is level. If you've got an incline, you want to fill it and make sure the area is level. For me, that is removing these wood chips. And as I remove them, finding dandelions and things like that I will give to the chickens. They love dandelions. These have been down for just about a year, and the soil underneath is just really, really beautiful. Just want to show you the mycorrhizal bacteria that is growing on the wood chips and helping it to break down. Really, really awesome. There's fungi all over the place. So I'm going to keep working to clear this section, and then I'll come back when I'm done. I'm going to do about 2 by 3 feet. And to save my knees, I'm going to go get my step stool. If you've watched my channel at all, you know that I've got some physical limitations, I've got sciatica issues, I've got some knee issues, back issues, and I always want my message, or one of my messages, to be whatever your physical limitations are, you can always garden. You just have to be creative and do what works for you. So I've got my handy step stool here, and I use that when I really know if I stay in a certain position for a long time, I'll be in pain, or if I'm squatting for a while, my knees are going to start aching. And so do whatever works. Bring out different tools with you. Bring a stool, bring a chair, sit on the ground, like whatever is going to work for you. Be sure to do that. So for now, I'm just going to continue to shovel mulch in and do it from the comfort of the step stool. Now I'm using Birdie's raised beds, and I just want to measure how much space I need to continue to clear out. So I want to make sure I still have enough space between my raised beds. All right, everyone, so step 1 is complete. I have prepared the area around the raised bed. I moved all of the wood chips out of the way. It is nice and clear and level. You want to make the ground as level as possible so that your raised bed isn't wonky. Step 2 is to protect your raised bed. So by protect, I'm specifically talking about pests that might want to get into your raised bed from underneath. For me, that's gophers. Gophers will come up underneath your raised bed and pull down your lovely plants that you worked so hard to grow. So to avoid that pain and suffering, I'm putting down hardware cloth. Now there are folks who will put down chicken wire, and that's fine. It's less expensive. Just know that chicken wire has a shorter lifespan. It will rust underground and degrade, and it won't be useful anymore. Hardware cloth is more expensive. It is infinitely more durable. It will last much, much longer than chicken wire. If you are working with hardware cloth, wear gloves, please. Your skin will thank you. I've got scars from getting scratched up on hardware cloth because I wasn't protected. So while you're putting down protection for your raised beds, protect yourself as well and wear gloves, and long pants would also be helpful. I've got scars on my ankles where I got scratched up by hardware cloth in the summer. So please allow my experience to save you that pain. Now I like putting it down against the curl. It's a little trickier when you do that, but I found that it stays down easier. Hardware cloth has a lot of ridges and sharp points and edges. So really, please protect yourself. I step on it to uncurl it, and then I keep walking and uncurl it as I walk. Okay? And then I step on it some more, and so forth. I'm taking the hardware cloth and bringing it forward. Because I'm expanding this about 2 feet. Again, step on it so that it'll stay. And then I do have some extra. I'm gonna go in this direction so that this area is also covered. At the end of this, what we're going to have is the raised bed like that. So the hardware cloth is going to go straight underneath it. All right, so now that I've figured out how far I want to extend the bed, I've got these wire cutters, and I'm going to just cut through the hardware cloth. Now I will tell you, I'm planning to get an electric cutter because using these wire cutters, like, yes, it's pretty easy, but it's time consuming because you have to cut one wire at a time, and it takes so long. Now I cut it a few squares after the raised bed just to give it a little bit more, give myself a little more room and buffer if I want to move the raised bed a tiny bit. There we go. The sun is starting to go down, so we're gonna pause for this evening to refresh our memory. Step 1 is to prepare the area. Step 2 is protect your raised bed. So we will get to step 2B tomorrow. I'll be back. Hi again, everyone. So it has been more than one day. I took a fall and sprained my wrist, so I couldn't do anything for 2 weeks, and I'm finally back in the garden. Still hurts a little bit, but doing much better. And we are going to keep going on our steps to setting up a raised bed. Step 2B is to protect the raised bed from weeds. So we are going to put down cardboard on top of the hardware cloth. I always keep my Amazon boxes whenever I get a delivery because they're great to use in the garden. They're a great weed barrier, and they come in handy. There's really no need to use weed barrier that you buy at the store if you just use cardboard. It's a great way to save costs in the garden. So we are going to put it down this way. You want to be sure to remove all of the tape from the cardboard boxes. If there's the plastic coating on top of the address label, you want to remove that too. All right. You'll notice I left the corner portion of the raised bed here because I wanted to know how far I needed to go. So I've already put a piece of cardboard on the very corner, and now we're gonna put the piece that we just cut down the side. That way, all areas are protected. So now all areas are protected. Not only are they protected with the hardware cloth from pests like gophers, but they're also protected from weeds with the cardboard. So step 2A and B are complete. Step 3 is to put together your raised bed. So I'm using Birdie's raised beds from Epic Gardening, and I usually put together the long sides first and then connect them to the corners. So it's super simple. We just have nuts and bolts that we use to put everything together. The screw goes on the outside and the bolt goes on the inside. They give you one of these wrenches. I think they're Allen wrenches. And you could use them to do the initial tightening. You want to make sure that you don't tighten it all the way at first. You want to screw, there's 5. So you want to screw all 5 in loosely, and then you can tighten at the end. Now, a metal raised bed is not the only way to go. There are plenty of other options. You could do a wooden bed. You can use cedar, which is rot resistant and will last a good amount of time. But you could also use, less expensive wood. Just know that it won't have the longevity that maybe other options will have. You can do raised beds with cinder blocks, with bricks. I have a brick and cinder block raised bed that I have my okra in by the chicken coop. There are so many options. I just like the metal raised beds because I feel that they last a really long time. Even though I love the look of wood, I don't want to have to replace my beds after, a number of years. Or these have like a 20-year warranty. So they won't rust, they're rust resistant, and they are food safe. So I don't have to worry about that. Okay, gonna put the last one in, and then I'll come back when we are done. Because this is going to be 6 feet long. Comes with these brackets here on both sides that link to supports that go across the raised bed. The longer the raised bed is, the more likely it is to buckle over time and bend inward. And so these supports here link from one side to the next, and that way it keeps the raised bed strong and it doesn't buckle over time. You want to make sure you're following the directions on your raised bed. Shorter raised beds don't need the support, but once you get longer, 5 feet and more, you really got to put the support in. So that's really important. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and finish connecting the other sides, and I will come back when we're done. So step 3 is to put together your raised bed, whether it's a metal one like mine, wood, cinder blocks, whatever you're using, put it together. So step 4 is to fill the raised bed. The Hugelkultur method has lots of great benefits. You can take down trees, you could take branches, sticks, leaves, grass clippings, all sorts of organic material, and use that to fill the bottom portion of your raised beds. And that really will save on cost for soil. It also is great because all that material acts almost like a sponge. So when it rains or you water your raised beds, that water will be, the excess water will be absorbed by, you know, the tree trunks, by the sticks, by the branches, etc., and act as a sponge to help water your plants in between watering. Let's pull out some of the branches. I'm gonna take off my wrist guard because I cannot get my hand into the gloves with it on. I am so glad my hand is doing better. I'm still not 100%, but I couldn't even come out into the garden and do anything the last 2 weeks, so I'm so happy I'm doing better. Let's see what we can grab. So here's the first handful. We're gonna bring it to the raised bed. So I'm just going to keep coming back and filling this area up with all of these branches and dried leaves. I really love the Hugelkultur method because it just means that there's no waste in the garden. You could use everything from your fruit trees to grass clippings. Everything has a purpose. And I'm just spreading them out so that they can cover the entire area. Found another tree trunk, y'all. All right, so we continue to fill this up. Now I'm putting this in here and spreading it out. And certain pieces, you know, they're wide. You could always break them. You can step on them. Whatever you need to do to flatten things out. Most plants, most of our vegetable plants only need about 12 inches, 12, 18 inches maximum of growing space. And so I fill this with branches first. I'll get in here. I'm actually going to get in here and step on them a little bit. Break them down, get them a little flatter. I mean, this for me is super fun. All right. What we're working on right now is step 4A, the Hugelkultur method. So we're going to fill this up maybe a third of the way with branches first. When my landscaper comes, Luis comes, he'll mow the lawn. We'll put grass clippings in here. Leaves that have fallen, we'll put in here as well. They'll fill up some of that space. So let's continue with the Hugelkultur method. After the Hugelkultur method, we fill it with really good quality soil. You might be tempted to get cheap quality soil. You see the top soil at the big box stores and it's so inexpensive, and you just fill your raised bed with that because, you know, whatever, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. It might be cheaper, but it doesn't have the nutrients your plants are going to need. It doesn't have the structure your plants are going to need. They won't do well. You really want to get a raised bed mix. That is what's going to work the best in your raised beds for me, because we've got 4 beds that we're gonna fill, I'm not going to go the route of buying individual bags. I asked my family for Christmas, it's been months, but I asked my family for Christmas to get me a bulk soil order. And so it's a raised bed mix with compost. It will come when I'm done setting up these raised beds. So you want to make sure you fill your raised beds with good quality raised bed mix, not potting soil mix, raised bed mix. And when I'm done, I cover it with mulch. So I use straw. For me, straw is just cost effective. It's easy to get my hands on. I go to Tractor Supply and I get a large bag of straw and I cover my raised beds with it. If you don't cover your beds, nature will cover them for you. Soil does not like to be uncovered. It likes clothing in a way, right? And so how nature covers your soil is with weeds. So you want to put down straw or any kind of mulch, leaf mulch, to ensure that weeds do not grow in your raised beds. And then when you're ready, you plant your plants. Or if you're starting from seed outdoors, you could plant your seeds, right? You could sow your seeds. But that's how to set up a raised bed. So let's review all the steps. Step 1 was to prepare the area. Whether for you that was leveling out the soil, making sure it's level, removing rocks. Step 2, protecting your raised beds, putting down hardware cloth to ensure that gophers don't get underneath your bed and pull down your plants. Step 2A was to protect your beds using cardboard. So that is a weed barrier that you get for free because you're getting deliveries from Amazon and other places. Just hold on to those boxes. They are a great weed barrier. Step 3 was to assemble your bed. There's Birdie's, Vajayga, Vigo raised beds. There are so many options. Or if you're using wooden beds, putting that together. Step 4, filling your beds. I use the Hugelkultur method. So putting down tree trunks, branches, twigs, fallen leaves, grass clippings on the bottom portion of the bed, and then you can fill the top with good quality raised bed mix, and be sure to put compost there. And at the end, when you are done filling your beds, you're going to protect them with mulch. So step 5 is to mulch your raised beds. You want to be sure that you cover your beds so that nature doesn't cover them for you with weeds. If you're starting from scratch, setting up your garden, or if you're like me and you're expanding your raised beds and making them larger, I hope this video was really helpful for you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Feel free to click on the video above and take a look at some other things that I'm doing here in my garden on my urban homestead. See you in the next video.